Welcome back to the show. Today, we're peeling back the layers on something that almost everyone listening to this, myself included, has felt at one point or another, that deep, lingering, I can't seem to shake this exhaustion. We often chalk it up to a busy schedule, a bad week, or just getting older. But what if the problem isn't your schedule? What if it's a literal energy crisis happening inside your cells?
It's a fascinating pivot because we usually view fatigue as a psychological state or a lifestyle consequence. But when you look at the biology, you're really talking about your mitochondria. They've been branded as the powerhouses of the cell since middle school biology, but that's almost a disservice to how complex and influential they actually are. They aren't just factories, they're the command centers for your stress, resilience, your brain health, and your longevity. When they start to falter, the entire system begins to flicker.
And that flickering is exactly what people feel. It's that sensation of waking up after 8 hours of sleep and still feeling like you haven't slept at all. It's a huge red flag, right?
Exactly. It's the first sign that your cellular recovery is failing. Think of sleep as the time when your body performs its nightly maintenance. Your mitochondria are supposed to be fueling the repair of tissues and clearing out metabolic waste. If you wake up exhausted, it's a strong indicator that your cells didn't have the energy reserves to finish the job. You're essentially running a marathon in your sleep, but you never actually reach the finish line.
I have heard people describe this as tired but wired. They're exhausted, yet they can't switch off. And that leads us to the second sign, which is probably the most frustrating one for modern professionals: brain fog. We've all had those days where finding the right word feels like trying to pull a heavy anchor out of the sand.
Your brain is an energy glutton. It represents about 2% of your body weight, but consumes 20% of your energy. When your mitochondrial efficiency drops, the brain is the first organ to notice. It's not just about forgetfulness, it's about a loss of neuroplasticity and emotional regulation. When your cells are starving for energy, your brain starts to throttle its own performance to survive. It's like a laptop dimming its screen to save the last 5% of the battery.
It's a perfect analogy, and when that battery gets low, the body starts screaming for an emergency top-up. That brings us to sign number 3, the constant, uncontrollable craving for sugar and caffeine. We think it's just a willpower issue, but you're suggesting it's a metabolic SOS, isn't it?
It's a survival mechanism. Your body recognizes that it's running on fumes, so it demands quick, high-octane fuel glucose or stimulants. But this creates a vicious cycle. By constantly relying on caffeine to override the fatigue and sugar to force energy production, you're actually putting more oxidative stress on those already struggling mitochondria. You're basically whipping a tired horse to make it run faster. Eventually, the horse doesn't just slow down, it collapses.
That collapse is something athletes know all too well. We often think, if I'm tired, I'll just go for a run to clear my head. But for some people, that exercise doesn't energize them. It wipes them out for the rest of the day.
That's a classic sign of mitochondrial inflexibility. Healthy mitochondria thrive on the stress of exercise. They adapt, they multiply, and they get more efficient. But if yours are already failing, exercise isn't a stimulus, it's a stressor that your system can't recover from. If your heart rate variability, that metric we see on wearables, is trending downward, and you're struggling to recover after a moderate workout, your body is telling you that your cellular capacity is tapped out.
So we've got poor sleep, brain fog, sugar cravings, and exercise intolerance. That leads us to the fifth sign, which might be the most profound: a total collapse in stress tolerance.
It's the everything feels like a catastrophe phase. We think stress is just a mental burden, but it's an energetic one. To stay resilient in the face of a deadline or a difficult conversation, your body needs a massive amount of ATP. If your cellular batteries are already drained, you have no buffer left. A minor inconvenience becomes a major emotional crisis. Your nervous system is essentially a house with a faulty electrical grid. Turn on one extra light and the whole thing blows a fuse.
It's a sobering thought, but I want to make sure we don't leave people in a state of despair. If we know this is a mitochondrial issue, how do we start to rebuild that infrastructure?
It starts with the basics, but viewed through the lens of cellular energy. Zone 2 cardio is non-negotiable. It's the gold standard for forcing your cells to become more efficient at burning fuel. Then there's the circadian aspect. Morning sunlight isn't just about waking up. It's about timing your metabolic clock so your mitochondria know when to turn on and when to repair. And, of course, stopping the cycle of constant overfeeding. Give yourselves a chance to clean house.
It's about us moving from treating symptoms to optimizing the engine. We're so focused on the external data, the steps, the calories, the sleep scores. But we need to remember that those are just the shadows cast by the internal process.
Exactly. Wearables don't improve your health. Your interpretation of what they're telling you does. If you see your HRV tanking, don't just push harder. Ask yourself what your cells are trying to communicate. Your body is whispering its needs through these signs long before it starts shouting through disease. The future of health is not just managing your calendar, it's managing your energy. And it all starts at the cellular level.